What is going on, my fellow Summit Chaser? Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like this video, you'll like it even more when it's live, where you can get involved in the discussion. You can ask questions. We can break down some case studies that you provide for us, and you might even get a chance to be on one of the shows. And you can sign up for our newsletter in the link in the description to stay up to date on all the different live shows that we have. We have 3 different live shows a week and 2 podcasts that we release every week. Stay up to date on topics, on guests, and see how you can get more involved. Also, you get a little bit of tidbits on how to grow your business, advance your career, and grow personally. And we highlight some of our amazing community members as well. So sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, but enjoy the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Today, there's something interesting that came out. There's a lot of these influencers and YouTubers and that kind of stuff that are starting to start their own businesses. Like, I don't want to say like legit businesses, because a lot of them, their channels, how they run their channels, it is a business. It's an entertainment business. It is what it is. Business owners that don't like to hear that, too bad. It's a business. They make money. They make revenue. They have teams. They pay taxes for the most part. It's a business. But they're starting to branch out and do their own kind of business that would be separate from their their channels. And one just got announced. I think it was maybe a week ago now. I'm a little bit slow on this, but we're gonna see if we can take a bit of a different angle in approaching it. But we're gonna do a little versus here, because the product that they brought out, it's directly is competing with a brand, with a product that's been around for as long as I can remember. I think that it came out in 1988. I have the information on some of the slides. I think it first came out in 1988. And nobody's really directly competed with it, at least in a long time, and definitely at least successfully. So let's do this. We're going to do a little like versus, right? Product versus product, business versus business. All right. So I don't know if anybody's heard this, but in this corner, we have Lunchables. This is a product that came out from Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, and KSI announced that they want to compete with Lunchables. They're like, you know what? We already have these. I think Mr. Beast I think that those are called Beastables, those little chocolate bars that Logan Paul is holding up. He has his chocolate bars. And then obviously Logan Paul and KSI, they have their Prime. You're like, you know what? Let's partner together. Let's put these together. Let's buy some nachos. Let's buy some little pizzas. Let's buy some crackers and cheese and processed turkey. And let's put them in a box and compete with Lunchables. And I love it. And obviously in this corner, we have Lunchables. Still looks almost the same as it did 30 plus years ago. 36 years ago. The only difference is I think the logo looks a little bit different. And now they have Mario and a bunch of Mario characters, but they've had Super Mario Bros. Characters on there forever. Absolutely forever, because obviously I think they have that partnership with Nintendo. Unbelievable how long that Lunchables has been able to just stay the same. Now this is interesting, because I talked about it, I think it was last week. I talked about the dangers of directly competing with somebody and focusing on competing with whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 other individual companies, individual entities. Because then the goal becomes, I want to beat them. And then if you're focused on them, you'd be really surprised, and there's tons of examples of this, you'll be really surprised how similar products start to look. And we talked about it last week when we're talking about, I think it was actually this week, when, was it the Stripe? Yeah, it was Stripe. Stripe put out the little card reader that you can put on the bottom of your phone, so that people that go to they run their markets, their farmers markets or stuff like that, they can start to take cards. Well, then these other companies that had similar former products that saw themselves as competitors with Stripe, like, well, I'm going to start doing it. It's like Intuit brought out their card reader. PayPal brought out a card reader. Everybody else brought out a card. So they're developing all these things. They're just like, okay, if they're doing it, I got to do it because we're competing with them. So the goal became, I need to beat this company. I need to beat this product. As opposed to, I don't want just to beat this product. I want to win. And there's a difference there. And Apple is a good example of that. Apple didn't bother competing with Microsoft and Google at the time. And Microsoft and Google were going back and forth. It's Bing versus Chrome and all this kind of stuff. Google Docs versus Microsoft Word, and all those, those types of products like Excel and all that stuff. And they were going back and forth. And then while they were going back and forth, trying to just do the same things as each other, but just I'm going to do it a little bit better, Apple came up and was worth, out of nowhere, $500 billion in market capitalization, which was more than those two companies combined. Whereas 3 or 4 years prior, both those companies individually, Microsoft and Google, were individually worth more than Apple. But Apple was like, no, we're going to win. We're going to focus on winning. We're going to focus on our game. We're going to focus on being unique. We're going to focus on differentiating. And we're going to create assets that are going to outperform either of those buffoons. And they did. And they did, at least for a long time. Google's kind of, they came out of it a little bit stronger than Microsoft. Right? They have a lot more kind of going for them as far as different products, and also they're just so in the search, like they still have the search. I know a lot of people are saying that AI is going to kind of take over. Well, Google could create its own AI platform and do just as well. So it's really, really interesting. So, but why do I think that this is such an amazing strategy to directly compete with Lunchables? Well, let's kind of go through some strengths and weaknesses of the both of them. So Lunchly, what are their strengths? They have millions of followers built in. Their marketing dollars could be zero if they wanted to. Mr. Beast gets $200 million views per video. This dude could buy, if you go on eBay, buy one of those brick Nokia phones, which I think are the same phones that every flying saucer video has ever taken on. It's terrible. He could take a video on that thing, on that brick, hold up a Lunchly, and get more views than every news channel combined at the same time. He could get more views than TV in general, than cable TV in general right now, which is where most of Lunchables, which is they're owned by a different company, obviously. They're owned by, I think, Kraft Heinz. We'll find out in a second here. I did all this research a few days ago and last night. But they have so much, like their marketing dollars could be zero. And to the amazing John Duffin's point, Logan is a phenomenal media presence. I'm still going old school Lunchables. I'm with you, John. I'm with you. Right, we got to fight that. We got to keep them in business. Although I think they'll be fine if they don't have our business, but I'm with you. They're experts in modern marketing tactics. They're absolutely experts, and a lot of it's because they have that they have that presence, right? And they're backed by huge brands, and huge brands being people, and the individual products that they put in there, like the Prime, the Beastables. I guess that's it. And then the Logan Paul's brand, which he has like sponsorships with. Like John, actually, that was good timing with WWE. He's on there with WWE, and Prime is sponsored by them. I think Prime is even in the UFC. It's in Walmart. It's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. And they're utilizing already existing and successful products, which I love. So they have their Beastables, which Mr. Beast was already selling. He's trying to compete with modern. He's trying to compete with already present chocolate bars, and not trying to be. And I'll explain why I think this is great. But then the Prime obviously is in there. They already have that. Let's just make a smaller bottle and put it in there, and then let's get some nacho cheese. But that stuff, the nachos and the pizzas and that kind of stuff, that's not what's. Let's be honest, that's not what's selling at all, right? And they're catering to a newly active target audience. And what I mean by newly active target audience is probably in the last 5 years. It used to be where these products that were geared towards kids, the marketing tactics of the companies used to have to market to the parents, because the parents were the ones that were digesting all the marketing materials. They were the ones paying attention to the commercials when they were watching TV. They were the ones listening to the radio on the way to work. They were the ones reading the newspaper. They were the ones that were they were online more often when Lunchables was out. Well, now kids ages fucking seems like 3, but realistically I think like 6 or 7 are consuming YouTube, social media, which is awful, by the way. I think it's terrible. Not so much on the YouTube side of things, but the TikTok and social media side of things. I think they should be much older when they start to. They need to start understanding the the regalities of it. Like, this isn't real life. These people aren't actually like this. They're probably, most of them are miserable in real life. And if you could fast forward 10 years, they're not going to look like this. But anyways, that's another topic for another day. I forget where I was at. Oh yeah, so these kids, they're the ones consuming. So now they're marketing. They have the ability to market to the kids, to the actual consumers of the products, as opposed to having to market to the kids. Sorry, to the parents. So they're much more active in front of these newly active target audiences, which is the kids. They're going to go, they're like, well, KSI had this. I want this one. I don't want Lunchables. And parents will be like, oh, but it's 20 cents more. But mom, the Prime has more B vitamins in it. It's like, okay, fine. And we'll get into the whole like comparative as far as like, which one has higher quality than the other one. I mean, it's okay. Yeah, Lunchly is probably a little bit more higher quality. They say it uses real cheese and the crackers look a little bit better and the meat is real and that kind of stuff. And it's crazy when we're at a point where it's like our main differentiators, we use real cheese when we say it's cheese as opposed to cheese products. So it's interesting, but they do have better ingredients. They do. It is a little bit better. I didn't put that on here because I don't think to that target audience that really matters that much. I don't think they really care. To the parents, it might matter. Right. So when the kids are arguing, they have a little bit more. They're giving the kids more ammo to why they should choose Lunchly over Lunchables. But see, what strengths do Lunchables have? They've been around a while, 1988. Right. They're one of hundreds of products of Kraft Heinz, which is worth $42 billion in market cap. And they have Kraft Heinz is over 200 brands. In 2023, Kraft Heinz net sales were approximately $26.6 billion, with $18.4 billion of that coming from North America. Less than 0.2. I think it's like 0.1, between 1.5 and 1.2, but it's less than 0.2% of that came from Lunchables. They're competing with a company that doesn't even care to exist, probably. If Lunchables went away, Kraft Heinz would be fine. They would dump that money elsewhere. Or they could, if they wanted to, they could invest in rebranding Lunchables and make it just as good as Lunchly and directly compete with them. Although then I think in that case, that would be the idea of we're just competing to beat somebody as opposed to competing to win, which would be, it's just not a fight that they need to win, that they need to fight. Right? In the words of the grandpa from the Three Ninjas, you never fight a fight unless you think you're going to win. Lunchables doesn't need to win that. They don't even need to. They probably wouldn't. I mean, I guess with me and John, they probably would win our vote, maybe. I don't know, actually. It is, they did a comparison between the two, and, it does, the Lunchly looks a little bit better. It does look a little bit better. And also, I do like Prime. So I'm starting to sway. But it's a really interesting, because Lunchly, they saw such an opportunity here. They went into a market, they went into a compete against a product that hasn't really had competition. The only other competition that it has had was really those, like you could go to like the gas stations and they'll have like the really healthy ones, like the crackers that no kid would ever want to eat, right? I like it. They're really crunchy. They kind of cut your mouth a little bit. And then it has, I think it comes with like vegetables, and then even like the dessert that comes with it. It's like chocolate covered raisins and that. Like it's not a Kit Kat bar. So they're not competing with the same audience. That would be a sub-market. They're competing against the adults that they work construction, or that they need just a quick, they're on the road, whatever it is, and they need a quick, semi-healthy, easy to digest, easy to use, easy to clean up lunch. Different market. They're competing in a completely different market. So Lunchables, Lunchly is coming in and competing against a business, against a product that hasn't had competition in a very specific market. And that's why Lunchly, everyone, I've seen a lot of stuff online about it. It's like Lunchly's not that much better than Lunchables. If they did come in that much better than Lunchables, they'd be competing in a different market. Completely different market. They're competing in the market of like 8 to 7 or 6 to 12-year-olds. And if they would have went so much, if they would have changed that to like a health food product, they'd be competing in a different market. They wanted to directly compete with Lunchables. So they still have the pizza, they still have the nachos, they still have the, the stack 'em thing where you have like the crackers, the cheese, and the little turkey slices. But they made them. They made it better. It has less sugar. It has less salt, less fat, and the cheese is real. The meat is more real. So they gave you a better option. And the Prime is better than Capri Sun. You get more of it, much better than Capri Sun. And the Beastables chocolate is like, I don't know. It's Mr. Beast. Who cares? It's not like that much better for you. I think it tastes better. That's been the reviews that I've seen. It tastes better than some of these other products, especially in the States. But if they would have tried to make it so much better, it was like a health food product, they wouldn't have been competing with Lunchables anymore. They wanted to compete because they saw an opportunity. The Lunchables, they kind of fall into this. It's an interesting space that they're in. Like they've been the one selling the kids Lunchable, the lunch packages product for forever. And you see businesses and products in this case where they fall into a few different things. So there's inertia, negative inertia. You see this with businesses who have, they've been doing things a certain way for a very long time. Or they kind of get to that point where, okay, we can't change, because if we did change, we'd have to dump a bunch of resources into R&D over here. But if we dumped a bunch of resources over there, our profit margins are already so small that it would break us. So we have to keep going this way. We have to, right? So that's called inertia by proxy, when they're just kind of stuck and they have to keep going that way. And then there's inertia by culture, where it's like, this is how we've always done it. I don't want to change, right? I like my Lunchables like this, right? Let's keep Mario on there. Let's not put any other characters. Oh, Donkey Kong. Okay, we'll put Donkey Kong on there, whatever. So they kind of are stuck in this. I think it's more along the lines of entropy, where it's worked for so long doing what they've been doing. They don't want to change anything. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to take any chances. But if you, as a business owner, and this is with anything, if you don't actively keep trying to improve it, it's like the human body. We can get into a certain, shape, right? We can get into shape. We can eat well for a long time. But then we're like, okay, I'm good where I'm at. I'm just going to keep it here. And you don't do anything, your body entropies. And you start losing muscle. You start gaining fat, right? You start losing bone density, right? Your brain stops working as well. Same thing with business. Okay, business is going, Lunchables is good, it's selling. Let's just leave it. Let's just keep doing what we're doing the exact same way. Over time, it gets worse. And a lot of times it's because other things look so much better. Like Lunchly comes along and makes you just look that bad, even though you're doing the same things. You look that much worse because now they're comparing you to a better product. Or you just naturally get worse. Management starts to get a little bit lazy, right? Because that's just human nature. If we keep doing the same things every day, all the time, we end up getting a little bit lazy. We end up getting, what's the point of life? I'm not growing. I'm not going anywhere. I'm at where I'm at, right? I'm not going to get any promotions. Lunchables isn't going to sell more this year. So I'm just going to coast. Complacency is one of the biggest reasons that people regress. So that's entropy. That is entropy. And as you see that with Lunchables, and Lunchly saw that opportunity. They can utilize their own products already. Right. So let's get this back up here. They can utilize their own products already. So here's some opportunities from Lunchly. Again, so they already have the products that they can use. So their overhead's not going to greatly increase their overhead, right? Their cost of goods sold, because they already have those products. They already make Prime. They're already manufacturing the chocolate bars. All they got to do is make a box, make the box a little bit more differentiated from Lunchables, cater it more to their target audience, make it more their own brand, because people recognize their brand, they want to be a part of it, and then add in a slightly better cheese product for their nachos. Right, so an opportunity for Lunchly is they're competing against an opponent who they haven't had to compete for a long time and take advantage of that negative inertia and entropy that I mentioned before. Lunchables threats, who cares? Who literally cares? Like I said, they're 0.1 something percent of Kraft Heinz's revenue. They could easily allocate those resources somewhere else and make up for it. Absolutely. I don't think that they should. Now we're competing with Lunchly. Let's rebrand Lunchables and let's try to knock them off their high. That's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Don't fight the fight unless you think you're going to win. And don't fight the fight unless it's not even worth winning. And it's just not. Who cares? Take Lunchables down, Lunchly. You got this. All right? Me and John will keep buying Lunchables. We'll keep you in business for an extra 3 days. It is what it is. So that's my verse. I think that Lunchly is going to take down Lunchables, and the outcome is going to be, who cares? Nobody. I think the kids are going to have, I think it's going to be good for kids to have a different option, parents to have different options. But at the end of the day, parents, just cook food for your kids. I know that you're busy and everyone's working and that kind of stuff, but your kids' health and what they put in their body is worth the extra 5 minutes. We could show you lots of ways where you can make them like a healthier option of like spaghetti and meatballs and then package it for the week. Just do that. And then on the other day, when you are busy, you're stressed and this kind of stuff, okay, get some Lunchly. And I think that's probably the better option. That's my take. That's my hot take.